Sometimes diabetes can feel more like don't-abetes. Don't do this, don't forget that. But with a little help from Walgreens, diabetes won't slow you down. Stop by to get expert pharmacy advice 24/7 and savings on medications and supplies. You can even get rewarded for healthy behaviors like logging your glucose. Walgreens has just what you need to do more with diabetes. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Limitations apply. For full program terms and conditions, visit walgreens.com/healthy-choices.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to What If You Just Imagine with Janice and Mary, the show helping you imagine and create the life you really want. Janice is a transformational coach creating sparkle in your life and a healer certified in Theta Healing Basic and Advanced DNA, Quantum Touch Levels 1 and 2, as well as a quick pulse practitioner and author of the children's book, Henry's Wild Adventures, Henry and the Oranges. Mary is a visionary and spiritual intuitive who specializes in facilitating her clients to live their passion. Mary began her soul work as a teacher in the school of life after her own life met with significant tragedies that transformed her both professionally and personally. Mary launched her own company, Global Healing Solutions, to provide people with the intuitive perspective they need to overcome obstacles and truly live their dreams.
Happy Monday. I am so glad you're here today with us. Hi, Mary.
Hi, happy Monday.
Yes, it's a beautiful, cool morning here in Sacramento.
Oh, it's beautiful here today. It really is. Sunny skies, nice weather, around 70. Perfect. Just perfect.
That's the kind of day I think it's going to be here, too. Right now it's a little cooler than that, but we get significant heat up during the day, so I'm hoping around in 70 or mid to low 70s. It's lovely. It's just beautiful. And, today we are going to talk about how to be conscious and love and be present with an unconscious partner, a partner who may not be present. And this is a big topic, I think.
It certainly is. I think one we've all had experience in.
Absolutely. And first I want to get those energies flowing of love, joy, peace, compassion, being open to receive that which is our highest and best, and being conscious. So I'm going to start the energy flows, and there will be a brief pause while I'm doing this. Oh, and the energies, you won't get them if you don't want them or if you're questionable about them or leery. So they're very kind and respectful of your feelings. So now there will be a brief pause. Okay. There was a little resistance, but not too bad.
Wow, that was good. I love those energies flowing, Janice. Why don't you start us off?
Okay, this topic, being conscious with an unconscious partner, is near and dear to my heart because I live with my husband, who is not conscious pretty much by choice. He is almost never present, again, by choice. He's been a medic in Vietnam, and he's been through a lot of things, and he chooses not to be conscious or aware. He isn't even conscious while he's walking, aware or present when he's walking around the house. He's always playing a game or doing something on the tablet or the phone or reading, always something. And so I wanted to help people to understand that if you choose to stay in your situation, that you can still be conscious. You do not have to let your partner affect you. They probably affect you to a certain point, but you can keep your energy field clean. You can still continuously clean the energy in your home and keep your home's energy fields clean. And you can still be conscious and present even with that partner. You don't have to let them affect you to the point where it's holding you back. There is really no reason for that. And if there is, maybe you could consider getting out of that relationship. Maybe that's your sign to move forward. What do you think about that, Mary?
Well, that was very well put, beautifully said, and certainly coming from a heart of experience, Janice. You're speaking from experience, and that's what our listeners like to hear. They know that we walk the path. So when we give that mindset, when we give that view, that opinion, it's because this is what has worked or hasn't worked for us. But we've lived those days, and you're still living those days. Every soul, as you know, Janice, has power. And for me, every soul's responsibility is to honor, claim that power, and to take care of oneself. And you said all the things that you still can do. It is every soul's, right, to create a life which honors who they are, they came here to do. So, again, when you said maybe we should, sometimes you have to leave, because we want to honor our soul and what we came here to do. If there are important things that you and your spouse, your partner have to learn together, then that part is also part of your journey, which is interesting. And somehow it may be part of our journey, but it doesn't have to be all of the journey. And again, it's knowing when to exit. We may need to learn to stand up for ourselves and to know that we can choose for ourselves. And this relationship is bringing that issue up sometimes when you're dealing with each other. There was a story, and I forget who wrote this or told me this, but her husband, and she writes, my husband and I began our relationship seemingly on very different paths. He was fully immersed into the world of earth, and he didn't meditate. While my background was yoga, and I thought more spiritually oriented. What I began to realize was that he grounded me and helped me orient better and create much more on the physical plane, while I helped him to look inward and find a deeper sense of spiritual. I thought love had to look a certain way. That's always a good topic. How is it supposed to look? And she writes, I thought love was supposed to look a certain way. That I can only love you if you are on my path, that you meditate, you do yoga, you're interested in the things I'm interested in. She said, I thought I was such a loving being by being so spiritual. But he showed me in what I thought was his so unspiritual way what love really was. He showed me that love isn't a conditional thing. We both had a lot to learn. I had to learn about claiming my power as well as he did. We had to made an incredible team, and we both have what we want in a way that we never realized we had, that we have love, and love is part of spirituality, whether it's conscious or unconscious. Love is there on both ends of the spectrum, my thoughts. There have also been a lot to clear as we saw our issues and false beliefs mirrored back to us in the other person. That says a lot. It says a lot of looking at spirituality in a much different way. And when you throw that love in the mix, how conscious or unconscious somebody is, I think, Janice, when you are always emotionally honest with our audience, did you learn anything from being in the relationship with your husband, such as it is?
I'm still learning. When we were two dysfunctional people, I was guided to him to learn and to seek myself. And I had so much fear in me. And he took on the power of a bully. And so his insecurities, his jealousy, and he was really, the dark side really came out when I was so fearful. And he would threaten my sons who are adults with vile things. And I know now, I can see that was coming from my fears. And as I stepped into my power, the bullying stopped. And when I became more and more love, he started mellowing, and this was just bringing those feelings out in me. He started mellowing, and as I continue to change, so does he. And it's been a really serious learning experience for me. And, I thought he was affecting my home, the neighborhood, how we ripple out. And so I started looking at my feelings about that, and I started looking at that. And I started doing more clearing for my home. And then I started putting him in a bubble of light. And I would keep that with openings only for love and light. So if he chooses to let go of stuff, he can. And if he doesn't, he can keep it in his own energy field where it doesn't affect anyone else. And this has been a huge, huge learning experience for me.
That's exactly what we're talking about today, looking how we learn past and into our own sense of self and past the unconscious person to see, it's an intense journey being in relationships sometimes. If you do it consciously, as you are, Janice, seeing whatever issues arise as being your issue, bringing it back to yourself, you have an incredible opportunity when you see yourself mirrored in the other person's stuff. And that's what you did. You saw yourself mirrored in his stuff. You called it bullying. You said you had a fear. And then you said most people are fearful of bullies. But then what we said in the beginning, you realize that every soul has power. And every soul's responsibility is to honor and claim that power and take care of one's self. In your case, yourself and your children, your two sons. So you said, I once I started claiming my power, he started to mellow. So now your husband and yourself, sometimes your life can flow very much along similar currents, while also being so differently. People do their own things, yet we don't always have to totally intersect and at the same point. We don't have to be joined at the hip and have the same exact life to be in relationships, to be married. See, because love must exist in freedom. And that's what Janice discovered and always discovers. We all do. The freedom to be and do what you are and to go your own way while yet traveling along together. Janice and her husband, they kind of teach each other. She doesn't know him as her spiritual partner on many levels, but she finds sometimes that opposite effect is bringing out her best. And I'm not saying, please, you don't stay in an abusive relationship. We know that. We have emerged from there, most of us, and those who haven't are learning that you don't engage or stay with an abuser. But whatever you choose to do, trust it and continue to trust that you are creating your life perfectly. You're making your decisions and you're basing that on faith and trust. We all learn as we go. At least I do every day. I'm learning every minute. It isn't all worked out beforehand. I know that. And all are neatly laid out so that there are no challenges. But for me, Janice, it seems to be all about the trust and knowing that it's not really a mistake. It's the experience of my soul's path. And then one thing that hits me is there is nowhere where my God or my angels or the spiritual is not. Spirit is everywhere and in everyone and everything. So the journey that I'm on and the journey our listeners are on are our spiritual journey. It may take a different form for all of us, and sometimes that different form we don't recognize because you described your husband in a certain way. He's never present. But we know Spirit is always present, Janice, so that would go against what you know is the truth of the universe. Because just because you're not seeing the Spirit in him, it is always present. So I liked when you said I created a bubble of light around him, because that's helping him create and emerge from his spiritual side. Seeing issues mirrored in him is the spiritual journey, Janice. And sometimes it can be separated. It's the way it is. So I mean, I can't speak for being in your shoes in this way. I can speak from my husband's experience, my experience. I used to read my Bible, and I enjoyed doing that. He'd come in the door, grab it out of my hands, and throw it against the room and scream, "Go ahead, is your God going to pay our bills?" And it was like, I would just go pick it up and bring it back and start reading it again. I didn't let it change, as you said, my path, my journey, and the more I stuck with it, and I told you the story at the end, how he picked up that book, had that back surgery, and things changed tremendously in our life, but I think I wasn't willing to give up on my faith, on my journey, on my path. So do I believe that I can and have a right to create my life as I choose? Am I safe with taking care of me? Yeah. Because for me, my journey is I'm not alone. Even when people are in relationships, they feel alone. Because one partner isn't conscious, as Janice said. But we find our life and our friendship within our faith, in love, in the things that we enjoy doing. And we just stay on that path and knowing that somehow, some way, they may join us fully. And I say that for a reason. They are on our path with us. We married them or we invited them into our home, into our heart. So they really are on the path with us. It's how they participate in that and how we see that participation. Janice, what do you think of that?
That's it, exactly. If they're getting us down, if they're holding us back, that's because we're allowing it. It's our choice. It's our choice to, and I was in that space. I was in so much fear. I was afraid of everything. And I was allowing what I thought was him to holding me back, but it was really me, and I was being shown that in everything I did and everything that happened, in the darkness within him and the darkness within me that was matching. And we don't have to stay in that space. If we're in an abusive relationship, we should probably get out. My relationship wasn't that. It was a lot of mental abuse, and I had to look at myself, and I was looking at ways where I could get out of it. But what I found was that he is my greatest trigger. he's my greatest mirror. He is showing me what's in me, and I worked within the space of clearing me and changing me, and when I made changes in me, that automatically changed the mirror, and then things started changing. My life started changing, and in that I wanted to also mention that we see a lot of spiritual leaders who are not in relationships, and some of them have been shown that they aren't ready for one, or for whatever reason, that relationship, if they got into a relationship, it would be distracting. Well, I am learning I have so much freedom within this relationship to do and be who I want to do and be, because he doesn't want to do the things I want to do. He does what his reading or whatever he's doing, and I can do whatever I want freely, because he doesn't want to he doesn't care about it. He doesn't want to be it. Know how to word it.
I love that because you're seeing what you can do because of him being unconscious, so to speak, as to what your journey is, as opposed to perhaps being with someone who is saying, no, Janice, I don't want you to go to that workshop or that seminar. Let's do this instead. And you're always being pulled in their spiritual ideas and their spiritual things that they want to do. Here, you have the freedom to grow, to do things you want to do. You are not, I don't want to say the word accepting of where he is, because you'd like him to be, of course, on a different spiritual realm. I'm not saying path, because we are all on that path. Some going faster, some going slower, some we pass by and just say hello, but we're all on that path. To what degree are we on the vibration of the spiritual realm? How aware are we? And I would venture to say, Janice, and I include myself in this, that there would be other people out there that would say to me, Mary, you're unconscious. And I said, what are you talking about, I'm unconscious? Well, compared to where I have come, there's so much more for you to learn. And I love that. I love that there's so much more for me to learn, to aspire to learn the beauty and the length and breadth of this universe, this spiritual universe. So in some ways, Janice, I could meet somebody that considered me a little unconscious. Although I'm aware enough to participate, I may not be participating at another person's level. So when you look at your husband, Jim, and you see that he's always engaged in something other than being present the way you would enjoy to see him, he's working things out for himself. He notices you. He knows what you're doing, what you're not doing. But the most thing that he notices is that whenever he comes home, you're there. That is love unspoken. Back to you.
Absolutely. And I know he loves me in his own way, which might not be my way, but he's doing the best he can with that. And this man, he is so beautiful inside when you look through the clouds that he's put around himself that hide where he's trying to hide who he is. He's clairvoyant. He hasn't hid that completely. He's clairvoyant, but he chooses not to use it. There's so much there. And when you can see their potential, what you saw in them when you first met, whatever that was, and then you can just move forward on your own, because we each have our own paths. We're all on a spiritual path one way or another, like you said, Mary. And we, if we remember what we saw, because that's still in that person, that's still in there. There might be something, a cloud we have around us or a cloud they have trying to hide their light, but it's still there. and somewhere inside there's still that person, but we get so muckered up in our own lives that we forget that. And when we can go back and become pure in who we are and be that love that we are, and when we can be conscious and realize that this person here, we're together right now, we're living in the same home, but we don't have to affect each other's, we do affect each other in some way, but we don't have to let any negativity, so to speak, or any darkness from another being, whether they're in our home or outside our home, affect us in a manner that's going to hold us back. We can just see that love and light in them. Isn't that it?
That's it. That's it. And while you're taking loving care of yourself, our life isn't limited to either this or that, but we can be a picture that includes all of it. My thing is always put out the invitation. By this I mean, Janice, you love to travel, or you might be going to a workshop, you might learn something about yoga, you have some things on the computer or on the TV about yoga, doing exercises, something around the house. But always put the invitation out there. Jim, I'm going here. Would you like to come? And maybe one day, somehow, he'll join you in your travels. You might enjoy having time together and, of course, having time alone. But I never thought it was possible. I really didn't. But then I used to say this to Frank all the time. I'm going here. You want to join me? Or I'm going to meet this person. Do you want to come? And all of a sudden, he started saying yes. And we went to Bible studies. We started to go to Bible studies, couple studies. And then we would do a Bible study because they would give you, like, homework. And he would say to me, what are you thinking about what they're asking this question? I don't quite get it. And then he started to study with my brother and my brother-in-law. So he had a men's thing. And I'm like, that works for both of us. How did that happen? How was that even possible? I was always looking at it that this would be my belief, my world, that my life would be the way that it was. But I didn't realize then, and this talks to a little bit of the unconscious part of me, and that then, and still is, like I said, I'm learning every day. But I didn't realize I was actually choosing the life that I was creating, because every time I put the invitation out there was an intention that one day he would say yes. Because why am I asking him? Mm-hmm. Why would I say, join me? If I really didn't mean it. Somewhere in my being, I meant it. I wasn't just being polite. I wasn't just looking for the disappointment. People say don't have a big expectation because you always get disappointed. I threw that away because I didn't need to feel the disappointment. I just set the expectation. And I didn't bring the negative into it. If I expect this, I'm going to be disappointed. So therefore, let me look at the negative aspect of disappointment and not put out the invitation. How foolish, in a way. Always put out the invitation of love. Always put the invitation of love out, and kindness, and understanding, and compassion. Because all of that, regardless if it comes back through that person, as we said before, we don't always see things the way they manifest. But love and light and compassion and kindness will still come back to you in whatever you're doing. So I say, put out the invitation of love today to the conscious and who we may view as unconscious. But the universe knows exactly where they are, why they're there, and who is in their life or going to enter their life to create that light of love and ignite their spiritual side. Back to you, Janice.
Beautiful way to end this show. I could go on talking forever on this.
I could do. We should pick up again at another point in time.
Yes, we should. This is a really good, important topic. And I'm so glad you listened today. This is Janice. JanicePatriceHart@gmail.com. Sorry, I lost track for a second there.
You see how we can forget even who we are. This is MaryAnswersNow@gmail.com. Drop me an email. Let me know how you are.
Yes, we welcome your suggestions and comments, and we thank you for listening today, and we look forward to talking to you next week. And so, bye for now, and thank you.
Most fast food places use complex algorithms to come up with combos, but that tastes even more boring than it sounds. With my new Sourdough Bacon Ranch combo, we simply figured out how to get all that flavor into one combo. It comes with my delicious full-size Sourdough Bacon Ranch on toasted sourdough bread, hot and salty fries, and 100-plus drink choices for just $4.99. Class dismissed. The Sourdough Bacon Ranch combo for $4.99 at Jack in the Box. Combo's done my way. For a limited time only at participating restaurants.